right? Just to say, I think we are pretty lucky to have 3 sessions with Neil over 2 days. So I think some of you, the lucky ones, have seen him 3 times in a row. Right? Twice yesterday and once today. So again, welcome to the Singapore Writers Fest. I think I need to give some credit to them for bringing Neil in, the Arts House, and of course GMB for bringing him in. Alright, Victoria Theatre, you know that it was previously supposed to be at Chambers, but due to overwhelming demand, alright, we are here today, 900-seater. Okay, so why don't we get started? So just a few house rules because it's a pretty tight event. We'll end around 2:50. After that, you can go over for the signing over at the Arts House. Basically, I'll try to leave as much time for you guys to interact as much as possible. Alright, born in 1960, England, that makes you 49 this year. Started out as a journalist. In fact, the first book you wrote was a biography of Duran Duran. Broke into comics in the late 80s. In fact, the first thing I read of yours actually is not in the comic book, it's actually in Face. Serialization of Signal to Noise. Yeah, and of course, Sandman 1989 to 96, which made you the rock star today. Novels-wise, Good Omens with Derek Pratchett in 1990. To me, that's one of the best. Right? Now, my story about that is that I lent it to a girl and never got it back.
But that's actually what's happened. The reason why we've sold so many copies of Good Omens over the years is when you start to talk to people who actually bought and love Good Omens, they've all bought 5. You know, they bought a copy and somebody borrowed it and they didn't get it back. And the way that I always know this has happened because every now and then you'll get real fans in signing lines and they'll bring out their Good Omens and it will be beautiful and pristine. And I'll say, so, who stole your other one then? Because I know what real copies of Good Omens look like, and they've always been read 19 or 20 times. At some point somebody dropped them in the bath, probably spilled soup on them, and they're repaired with sellotape on the back where the spine started to split. They're kind of browning, sometimes good ones. So you are not alone in having lost your copy of Good Omens to a girl.
Definitely not in Singapore.
That's what they do. Girls take your copies of Good Omens.
Okay, you wrote others as well, of course. American Gods, Coraline, River Book. Okay, like I said, I'll just ask a few questions and I'll throw it to the floor.
Okay.
Okay, this is a sensitive one.
By the way, just before we start, I assume that anybody who is here either stood in a very, very long queue in the heat, or possibly persuaded somebody to stand in a very long queue. So I just want to thank all of you for braving long queues and braving heat and braving whatever mysterious secret messaging system that let you know that tickets were available or more tickets were available to actually get in here. Thank you all for doing it.
You are 49 this year. How does it feel to hit the big 50 next year?
Really odd. Really, really odd. Not bad. In the sense that I have this really cool life in which I've actually somehow, there was this wonderful feeling fairly recently when I looked around and suddenly went, you know, I've done all this stuff I set out to do. And you don't get to say that very often. And, you know, you talk to people about their lives, a lot of people say, well, you know, life would have been so great if only this had happened or if only that had happened. And I go, well, there were all these things I wanted to do, and I've pretty much done them all. And I've done them all on a level on which, and sort of personal things and work things, to the point where if tomorrow the plane I was in went down.
Troy.
No, probably won't happen. But I'm saying if it does go down, it's not going to go down with me going, oh my God. You know, I remember the last time I was really scared of a plane going down. It's only ever really happened once. It was 1988. They turned up the volume on the mic, so I'm just going to put it back in the thing. It was 1988, and Dave McKean had given me, I'd written maybe the first 3 episodes of Sandman, was working on Black Orchid with Dave McKean. He'd given me the first half of Black Orchid to take to America. He couldn't afford to have every page scanned. These big colour paintings by Dave. And as soon as it was done, he was going to start working on Arkham Asylum. And I just remember being on this plane, carrying 100 pages of Dave McKean art with me, going, you know, if this plane goes down, nobody's ever going to see Black Orchid. Black Orchid will never be printed. Dave is never going to go back and paint these 100 pages again. And this Sandman thing I've started, they very unlikely just print the first 3 episodes of this thing that this guy then died, and but this is really cool, and this is really good. I hope this plane doesn't go down. And I spent the entire flight from England to America working very hard to keep that plane afloat. If the plane goes down tomorrow, I'm in great shape. I'm not going to go down going, God, wouldn't it have been good if I just had cool kids, or written a good children's book, or made a movie, or something like that? Because I've done all that stuff. I think I've had this amazing life. So in terms of how does the Big 5-0 scare me, how do I feel about it, it's really interesting. I kind of I get these big sort of grey swatches that I definitely didn't have the last time I was in Singapore 4 years ago. I don't blame you. They probably were the Filipinos. Any Filipinos just took offense from that. That was actually a very, very bad joke. And has much more to do with the sheer volume level of arriving in the Philippines from Singapore. Because Singapore, everyone's really enthusiastic, but you're all enthusiastic in a very, very quiet, polite, and organised sort of way. And then, you know, the last time I went from here to Manila and found myself discovering just how much noise 3,000 Filipinos can make when they put their minds to it. And they are louder than the Brazilians, and I didn't believe anybody was louder than Brazilians. Anyway, so I like the idea of being 50. And I have the world's coolest girlfriend.